Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending the 6th webinar in this series. I know your time is valuable, so I hope you get a lot out of this today. My name is Danny McShane. I'm the Business Development Director for Tellemachus. I help businesses solve problems using technology, but for a while now, GDPR has been the topic on everyone's minds. This series of webinars is designed to help organisations prepare for GDPR, and we're joined today by a great speaker. A spot of housekeeping first. All attendees are muted. If anyone does have a question, please type it into the text box as we go, and I'll put all the questions to Amrit at the end. And this is the 6th webinar in the series, so for those of you that haven't seen the previous ones, they are available online, and if anyone would like the links sent into them, my contact details will be available at the end of the session, so just let me know. Before I bring Amrit in to introduce himself properly, let me just very quickly recap what we went over in the previous webinars. There are a lot of aspects that need to be considered when looking at GDPR. These cover people, processes, and technology. So it is something that should be covered and assessed at a level that has authority over all three. This is usually board level within organisations. Technology is available to assist with all aspects of data protection and data loss prevention. The question organisations will have to answer is, as a business that chooses to store data electronically, should you adopt new technologies to help you secure your data? And we went through the 5 essential steps in preparing for GDPR. Most importantly, if you haven't already, get started now. May 2018 is fast approaching. This is the biggest shake-up to data protection in 20 years. Secondly was create a data loss response plan, and we went through the ways in which this can be done and the benefits that it can bring to an organisation in responsible data management. Third, and really critically, is to locate and classify all of your data in order to fully understand the risk and to enable effective policies to be put in place regarding the protection of that data. Once the location of the data is known, the next step is to manage who can and who can't have access to the data. And that 5th step may seem silly, but if the data that you hold isn't adding value to your business, if it isn't bringing business benefits, then delete the surplus data. This webinar is going to focus on what you would do in the event of a data loss incident. The ICO will expect a report within the first 72 hours. See there it says without undue delay. There are very, very few excuses that will cut the mustard here, and the ability to produce the report will help determine the financial penalty. So this is a key aspect of complying with GDPR. These are the things the report will need to cover, and this will also include notifying the affected parties. All of this has to be completed within the first 72 hours. So I'd just like to conduct a quick poll. If you were asked right now, could you respond adequately within 72 hours? That'll just be up for a few seconds. If you could let me know, it would be very interesting. We're about 50-50. Okay, so there's a fair amount of you think yes, you would be able to complete that, which is good news. Well, as I say, we're going to focus on how you can manage and monitor who is accessing what data. And with that, let me hand you over to Amrit Tua.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for attending this webinar, and thanks for the introduction, Danny. Amrit Tua, Senior Sales Engineer at ForcePoint. I've been working at ForcePoint for 5 years, and I've been an engineer for over 20 years. Today's focus will be how we can actually look at data traversing through your network infrastructure, how we can look at the detail within our forensic repository, so you can see in detail the audit we take when we discover data on your network infrastructure, may it be a data breach or an exercise where you discover data on your network infrastructure or endpoint devices. So what I will do is I will be doing a short presentation where I'll be talking about Forcepoint and who we are and how we've evolved. Some of the evolutions and innovations we've made over the years with our DLP product. I will talk a bit about how we can help with GDPR regulation with regards to responding to incidences on your network infrastructure. And then I have a 15-minute demonstration where I show the product working live, where we show incidences being created so you can see the detail in our forensics repository on exactly the information that we are seeing exfiltrating out of your organization. So to begin with, I'll give you an introduction into Forcepoint. So Forcepoint is a new name in security, but our products and people are well known and backed by decades of experience. Forcepoint is a purpose-built company designed to deliver a fresh and a more effective approach to security. Now, how was Forcepoint formed? You may know and recognize some of these companies that I am displaying. So over 2.5 years ago, Raytheon Technologies, which is one of the largest defense organizations in the world, acquired WebSense, who were a commercial leader in the content security arena, specializing in content security for DLP, may it be in the cloud, on-premise or hybrid. We also do email and web technologies as well. A decision was made to integrate the WebSense technology and become the 5th division of Raytheon. And very soon we also acquired an organization called StoneSoft, which was the firewall division from Intel McAfee. You may have heard of the Sidewinder proxy firewalls and the StoneSoft next generation firewalls. The idea behind the organization is to have one management infrastructure and have intelligence running through each of our technology sets. When I do my demonstration today, it will highlight that Forcepoint has one management infrastructure, but the technology set from WebSense, Raytheon, and StoneSoft all talk to each other, and it was a conscious decision to build the technology across one management infrastructure instead of having point products. We do make up the 5th division of Raytheon. All of Raytheon's cybersecurity technology set has been integrated into the old WebSense technology to form the Forcepoint technology set. So just a bit about some of the evolutions that we've made with our data security product and some of the concerns that there are within data security as well. So the immediate one is that you have to be compliant. You need to protect your intellectual property, so this is your secret source, and you need to have the ability to prevent data traversing out your network organization. And something that's new is the fact that you need to mitigate insider threat as well. Now, with the merger of WebSense, StoneSoft, and Raytheon, we have been able to bring out a technology set that not only does data protection, but also can help you with insider threat mitigation as well. Over the years, we have had multiple technology evolution. Just to start off with as well, some of the techniques that we have available within the product. We were the first in the industry to bring out data fingerprints. So originally, we were doing fingerprints on peer-to-peer networks. We brought that into our data loss prevention product. So we are able to fingerprint documents. So if users try to partially take out information from a document, paste it into maybe a website or another document, we'll be able to pick that up into the product. What we did was then reduce the fingerprint engine and be able to put that onto an endpoint device and introduce that onto maybe a roaming device such as a laptop. And we are only one of 2 vendors that also support Mac OSs at the endpoint level when it comes to data protection as well. So we can stop users from copying, cutting, pasting information at the endpoint at point of click as well. We have over 2,000 predefined compliance policies within the product. These policies are not just built up by regular expression and dictionaries like other vendors do. We have some very intelligent scripting techniques, and we have a lot of classification techniques that build our policies. We use what we call Python scripts. We have natural processing languages to basically look at information statistically to improve accuracy. And then based upon the statistical build-up and the script makeup, we are able to build very detailed logical policies. And when I show you the demonstration, you'll see elements of our policies that are available. We're also first to bring out OCR technology, which is we can look at scanned documents. So if they are traversing out, we can scan the document and then give you detail about it. But also, we have also brought in drip DLP technology into our organization as well. So that's nearly over 8 years ago. And again, I will demonstrate that through the demonstration next. Moving forward, with the merger with Raytheon, we've also introduced what we call our SureView Insider Threat Program. And we have a application that allows us to look at user behaviors and monitor what they are doing and scoring them depending on the type of activity they're doing on their machines. And then correlating that with our DLP product in order to understand data flows and user behaviors within your organization. How can we help with GDPR? The technology is able to carry out inventory of personal data across multiple mediums. We have endpoint technology, we have discovery technology, and we have gateway technology. We can look across cloud interfaces, databases for unstructured and structured data, endpoint devices such as laptops, network storage, and we can also look at over the web channel and email products as well. Ultimately, we cover a lot of egress points on your network infrastructure, but you can build very strong policies to look for and audit data across all of these mediums very easily. And it should become very self-explanatory when I show you the demonstration. What we can then do is we can then map, manage, and control personal data flows. So we can show you who is carrying out a particular function on your network infrastructure when it comes to data, what type of information is flowing through your network infrastructure, where is it going, how is it being transferred, and ultimately we can put controls against those data flows within the infrastructure. So an example would be that if human resources are sending personal data to a business partner over email, what would you like to do? You may want to encrypt that. Again, if someone is sending information to Dropbox over the web, you may need to block that as well. And again, I will demonstrate that through our interface in a second, but also show you the level of audit that we can provide you guys so that you can take action very easily. Importantly, we are able to respond in a timely manner. So the question that Danny asked is whether can you respond within 72 hours? We have a single force point manager which provides you with an area to go in and to make decisions very quickly and see the detail of data traversing through your network infrastructure. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a demonstration. It's a pre-canned demonstration, and I'm going to talk over it and just talk about the techniques and the auditing mechanisms we have within the product, from workflow, action plans, and then we can follow up with some questions and answers as well. Just going to switch over and start the video. So this is our force point manager. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few scenarios. The first one is I'm going to create a discovery task to look for personal information on a user's endpoint device. So I'm going to open the rule up and just show you through how we actually create the task. So we can choose which devices we want to run this task on. So we can integrate into the Active Directory. We can choose custom computers, different business units, and you can also have inclusions and exclusions. You can schedule the task, so it could run daily, weekly, or continuously on that device. And then you can choose the type of policies you want to apply to that endpoint device. Later on, I will show you how we integrated those policies into this task. You can then turn around and say, when I run this discovery for GDPR data, I may only want to scan particular file types, so you can be very granular. And you can also choose how old those particular files are as well. So now that I've created my discovery task, what I'm going to do is run this task on all endpoint devices, and I'll go into our auditing section, which is our discovery and incidences section, and hopefully we should see a whole host of incidences that have been triggered. So this is our audit dashboard, which gives you full forensic data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a particular incident, show you the detail and what has been triggered. So on the left-hand side, you will see the rules that have been triggered. So we have looked for UK national insurance numbers. It shows you the file path name. We can show you the level of rights people have to this particular file. And we can tell you, who actually, which device was analyzed. And ultimately, once we see this incident, we can then build a workflow plan into this particular incident. So we have full workflow, so we can change the status, we can tag the incident, we can add comments to it as well. But more importantly as well, if we find information on the network infrastructure or on an endpoint device that shouldn't be there, we're also able to run remediation scripts. And we can also escalate the incident through to somebody within the organization as well, for example, a department head. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how easy it is to build and import some of the 2,000 policies that we have available within the product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some predefined policies, and you'll see a counter on the right-hand side on how quickly we can add policies and start to be productive within the product itself. So first of all, you choose your industry sector. So again, we have 2,000 compliance policies. We can choose your industry sector, so we have the correct policies being downloaded. And then we can also choose the regions that your organization works in as well. This then focuses on only the policies that are required for your organization and your industry sector. So when I click on OK, it's going to import all the compliance policies that are available. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to import in the European Union GDPR policy. So we'll click on Use Policy. And this will import in all the rules available to us when it comes to GDPR. So I'm going to now enable a rule for looking at UK personal information, and national insurance numbers. And I'm going to show you how the rules are built. So we have a number of sections at the top. We have conditions, so we can set thresholds. The national insurance number is picked up using our Python scripts. We can then have different levels of severity and action. So we can look for data traversing out of your network over a period of time. So it could be that we want to look for unique matches over 24 hours, and then we may want to carry out a particular action. So you can have different actions depending on the number of times we see an incident. And those actions can be anything from monitor, audit, notify, or even delete a file or move a file to a different network location. You can then choose to apply the rule to different directory entries within your organization. So it could be an endpoint device, it could be just a user, an organizational unit, or a group, and you can include or exclude those from this particular rule. But ultimately, you can then choose which egress points on your network infrastructure you want to apply this rule to. So may it be over the email channel, the web channel, data going to cloud services like Dropbox, if people are trying to print it, or even if they're trying to copy and paste it into certain applications or send it to removable media or network devices. So here's an example. So from my PII document, I'm going to paste in some personal information. I'm using pastebin.com. And what I want to do is I want to show you the data that we capture when this information is pasted into a website. So we go into reporting and we go to today. We should see an incident where personal information has been pasted over HTTPS. The endpoint has picked it up, and you can see here that the user went to pastebin.com and it falls into the personal network storage and bandwidth category. So we have a web security product that is able to tell us URL categories. We can then start to carry out workflow on this particular incident, as I described to you earlier on. And of course, we can then do some remediation if you wish, or we can escalate it to a manager if need be, or another person within the organization. The next example is I'm going to copy information to Dropbox, just to give you an idea that we've chosen web, but now we're going to actually use the Dropbox application. If I drag and drop it here, very quickly the user will see a block come up saying that this transaction has been blocked. And if we go back to our auditor, our forensics auditor, you'll see, if I just do a refresh, we should see that incident in there now as well. So as you can see now, the channel has changed. The destination is Dropbox, and you can see what action was taken by the user. So it's blocked and denied. You can see it happened over an endpoint application, and they were trying to access a file. We can give you access to the file itself, so you can download the file, or you can preview it in a window as well. Again, the important thing here is that you've got full visibility to who's doing it, where the information is going. So the next thing is, you may want to change the actions. You may want to do, may not want to block it in its entirety. So if a user drags and drops personal information to a USB device, we can present them with a confirm page. And so we have full audit of exactly why this data is going to a USB device. And the user then tells you, you know, why they want to do it, and then they can choose to send that data across. You're putting the trust in the user's hands, but of course you've got full audit function available within the product to show you exactly what they did. So you can see the destination is a USB device, it's endpoint removable device, but importantly, this actually then shows you the actual file itself and which, sorry, just did the full screen there. So if we go to history, it actually gives you an audit trail and tells you that the user clicked on the confirmation message and said it was personal data. So what I'm going to show you now is that you may want to change certain actions within the product. So we have predefined actions. We can audit and notify. We've created a special GDPR action set in here as well. So depending on what egress point the data goes on, we can carry out different actions. So if it's over the network channel, email, web, chat, or even the endpoint channel as well. So what we're going to do is, instead of having the confirm option, which I just showed you, we are now going to encrypt this data. Every time personal information is transferred to removable media, we're going to encrypt it. We can also add multiple actions, like include the forensics information in an email notification, and we can add multiple notifications to this action plan. So now we're going to copy across the personal information just like we did last time to the USB device. This time it's going to copy it, but the user will get a notification to say that this data is now being encrypted to this device. We have two types of encryption. We have proprietary encryption, so endpoint to endpoint, and we can also do AES 256-bit encryption as well. So now you can see here in the forensics repository the action, And of course, you get all the data related. So all the rules that were triggered on the left-hand side, who the user was. Last one is that you don't necessarily have to go to the forensics repository. So what I'm going to do here is trigger an email notification. As I showed you in the action plans, I'm going to attach the PII document. We're going to insert it in here. We're going to click on send. But this time, the detail when it comes to the incident is going to be sent over the email channel. So the audit information can be sent directly to your inbox. You can view the original incident, the message itself, but then you can carry out actions from the email notification itself. So at the bottom you can see here, release to all recipients. So you don't necessarily have to go into the forensics repository, the audit repository, to actually carry out a particular action. So you may be thinking you can create multiple incidences. So, you know, in 3 days we've got a hell of a lot of incidences within our repository. How do you actually manage those, and how do you know which incidences to look at when it comes to data breaches on your network infrastructure? What we've done is we've created a new feature within the product called Incident Risk Ranking. So very shortly, I'm going to go to the dashboard. What Incident Risk Ranking does is it ranks the what it believes to be the riskiest incidences, and we give it a score. So when you come in first thing in the morning, and you want to look at your most prevalent incidences, we'll correlate those together and we'll put those into categories. We use behavioral statistical models in order to understand the type of breaches. So we've got suspected data theft here, we've got broken business processes. So you can go straight in, we'll give it a risk score, and then you can click on the incidences and it will correlate those incidences only. So you don't have to sift through maybe a couple of hundred incidences. It will focus on what we believe is the highest scoring incidences within the dashboard itself. Now, to conclude the demonstration, Forcepoint also offer a product that looks at user behavior. So what I've demonstrated to you guys today is the ability to audit data that's traversing on your network infrastructure over multiple channels. So we also have an insider threat program. Just to differentiate between the two, DLP identifies risky data behaviors and then the users that need to be investigated, whereas we also have a product which identifies insider threats. So we look at risky users and then we put data protection controls that are needed in place. So if you add the two technologies together, data movement, which I've shown you, user activity, and we have a complete data protection solution available, which will help you not only look at data that's been audited, but also audit the user's behavior and see whether they deviate from the norm. For example, if they are uploading information at 2 o'clock in the morning and it's not normal business behavior, you can correlate that with the data security product, look in the audit repository to see what that data is, and then take action accordingly. So what that does is conclude my live demonstration, and I will hand over back to Danny for questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Amrit. I absolutely love seeing how much information is available about what every user is doing on a network as well. It's terrifyingly reassuring. I'll just have the final poll that I want to ask today. Do you believe a system or a similar system to that, I'll launch it now, will help you be more compliant with GDPR and ultimately reduce the fine? I'll leave that open for just a few seconds. Which is about 50-50. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Well, as we were going, I didn't get any questions, but I'll open the floor up now. If anyone does have a question, anything at all to do with technology auditing and how it can help with GDPR compliance, if you type it into the question box now, I will put those to Amrit. I'll give you a few moments just to see if any questions are going to be coming through. Perfect. Well, all that's left for me to do then is thank you guys very much for attending the webinar. My contact details are available. If you would like to know anything else, please don't hesitate to get in touch. If you want to have a copy of this when it's available offline, just drop me a note and let me know. I'll make sure we get it as soon as get the link across as soon as we've uploaded it. We also have previous webinars that are available online. Again, if you would be interested in any of those, don't hesitate to get in touch. I can get the link across to you. I'd like to thank Amrit very much for coming and spending his time with us. It was really useful. I hope you all got a lot from it. And we still haven't had any questions, so I'm going to say thank you all, and we'll see you next time.